The Golden State Warriors might be sitting at duas vitórias em uma derrota, but if you're just looking at the scoreboard and thinking everything's perfect, pump the brakes. Because yes, Steph Curry did what he always does, dropping Trinity Dois Pontos and carrying the team offensively. But that's the problem. It's just Steph right now. And for a team that's dreaming about another championship, that's not sustainable. Watching that game last night, you could feel the tension underneath the win. Sure, it was exciting. Sure, it was an overtime thriller. But dig a little deeper and you'll see some serious red flags. Aaron Gordon lit them up for 50 points. Yes, 50. And Joker? The guy had what many would call a quiet night by his standards and still walked out with Vinny and Pontos. That's not just a bad matchup. That's a warning siren blaring in the background. What's frustrating is that the Warriors were trying to be physical. You could see them attempting to disrupt Joker's rhythm, throwing different bodies at him, using Al Horford, using Draymond, trying to get under his skin. And to some extent, it worked. He didn't go nuclear like he's capable of. But then Aaron Gordon came in and cooked. 10 for 11 from 3? That's not just a hot night. That's a meltdown on the perimeter. 17 for 21 from the field, 8 boards, and just 1 foul? That's a guy who got whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted it, and the Warriors had no answer. Meanwhile, you look at the box score on the Dub side, and it's really just Steph out there. Draymond chipped in, Jimmy had flashes, Kuminga showed some aggression, Pods had moments. But no one else stepped up in a way that makes you feel confident about a deep playoff run. Because if a team figures out how to contain Curry, and that's always the goal when facing Golden State, who's next? Are we trusting Jimmy to be the second option? Are we trusting Kuminga to have a breakout game under pressure? Right now, the answer's unclear. Off the bench, there were signs of life. Buddy dropped ons. Al Horford added trees. But again, that wasn't enough to truly offset what Denver was doing. They had Trace players drop Vint Pontos or Mays, Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, and Joker. That kind of balanced attack is exactly what championship teams bring. The Warriors? Still figuring that part out. And as we look ahead, the schedule isn't exactly getting easier. Tonight, they face the Trailblazers. And yeah, this one should be an easy win. Portland's in the middle of a full-blown crisis between front office shakeups, coaching uncertainty, and a roster that just isn't clicking. It's not bold to say they're heading toward a complete teardown. By the trade deadline, expect a lot of those guys to be gone. New ownership wants a fresh start, and this might be the season where they hit reset across the board. So yeah, Warriors fans should feel good about the odds tonight. But after that, it gets tricky, because after the Blazers, the Dubs face the Memphis Grizzlies, and that's going to be a real test. Zach Edey will be suiting up. Yet another massive body the Warriors will have to deal with. That's 3 straight games now against 7-footers, and Golden State is still relying on Quentin Post as their only true 7-footer. And Post, he played 4 minutes last night. That's not going to cut it. You can't keep throwing undersized lineups against giants and expect it to work every time. At some point, it's going to crack. Now, on a lighter note, and this is the kind of thing that makes you love the chemistry of this team, there's a little bet going on behind the scenes between Jimmy and Draymond. It's not for money, not anything serious, but it's hilarious. Jimmy bet Draymond that he'd shoot a higher free throw percentage this season than Steph Curry. Yeah, you heard that right. Jimmy thinks he can outshoot Steph from the line. Now, obviously, we all know how that's going to end. Steph is a walking 90+% from a stripe. But the fun part is how it's motivating Jimmy. He's locked in, he's focused, and he's pushing himself to be elite in one of the most overlooked areas of the game. Last night, Jimmy went 7 for 8 from the line. Solid. But Steph? 8 for 8. The man is a machine. Right now, through 2 games, Steph is shooting 100% from the free throw line. Jimmy is right behind him at 95. So yeah, it's going to be tough. But this kind of internal competition is exactly what the Warriors need. It's friendly, it's fun, and it's driving these guys to be better. And hey, if Jimmy somehow pulls this off, I'm talking about him walking into a steakhouse with a championship belt, holding his head high, and telling everyone he beat Steph at the line. Imagine the look on Steph's face. That would be a moment. A golf clap moment. It won't win them the finals, but it's the kind of thing that keeps the locker room energy high all year. But while we're laughing about that, there's a darker cloud looming over the entire league right now. And I'm talking about the gambling scandal that just exploded. Damon Jones, Terry Rozier, and Chauncey Billups, all arrested by the FBI. The charges? Illegal betting operations. And this thing is ugly. We're talking inside information, prop bet manipulation, underground poker schemes, the whole 9 yards. This isn't just some low-level incident. This is a ring, and it feels like we're just seeing the beginning of it. According to reports, Damon Jones was feeding information about LeBron. Terry Rozier was allegedly involved in manipulating props. Chauncey Billups used to attract high-roller dummies into illegal games designed to clean them out. And here's where it gets worse. The NBA had already investigated Rozier and cleared him while the FBI was still digging. That's not just a miss. That's a complete embarrassment for the league. It's starting to feel like the Johnny Porter case was just the start. Then Gilbert Arenas' name popped up. Now Jones, Rozier, and Billups. And you have to wonder, who else is involved? How far does this go? Because if former players and coaches aren't on it, how can we be sure current players aren't? Especially younger guys who aren't making the Steph and Draymond kind of money yet. The temptation is real. The access is easy. And gambling? That's a different kind of addiction. It taps into that need for competition, that hunger for risk. It's not just about money. It's about the rush. You go back and listen to guys like Michael Jordan talk about their gambling habits, and they always say the same thing. I don't have a gambling problem. I have a competition problem. That mindset is dangerous when mixed with sports betting. And right now, the league is neck-deep in it. These athletes have more access than ever to online platforms, to apps, to bets that can be made in seconds. And when you mix that with insider knowledge, it creates a situation that's not just unethical, it's criminal. This might end up being bigger than the Tim Donaghy scandal. Because that was one referee. This could be a network of former players, maybe current ones, coaches, staff, all potentially leaking information, manipulating outcomes, or even influencing games. And with the NBA tied up in sponsorships and partnerships with betting companies, that's a bad look, a really bad look. And look, Commissioner Adam Silver has done a lot of good in his tenure. He's pushed the game forward globally. He's embraced player empowerment. He's modernized the league. But when it comes to discipline, he hasn't exactly come down hard. Outside of Donald Sterling, most punishments have been light. Suspensions, fines, maybe a statement here or there. But this situation, this is different. This affects the integrity of the game. This touches the very thing that the commissioner role was created to protect. Historically, the role of commissioner in American sports was born out of the gambling scandal. The Black Sox scandal in 1919, when players allegedly threw the World Series, led to the creation of the commissioner in Major League Baseball. Every other league followed suit, including the NBA. So the fact that something like this has grown under Silver's watch, that's not just a crack in the foundation. That's a structural failure. This is the time to act. This is the time for a hammer, not a feather. Because if the NBA doesn't handle this decisively, if they try to brush it off or minimize it, they risk something far worse, the loss of trust. From fans, from players, from investors, from everyone who believes in the legitimacy of the game. And the deeper this goes, the more names come out, the harder it's going to be to contain. And if you're a Warriors fan, you're hoping none of your guys are caught up in this. But that doubt, that fear, it's in the back of everyone's mind. Because all it takes is one name. One young player trying to make a little extra. One leak. One connection to the wrong person. That's all it takes to ignite another scandal. And suddenly, that championship dream becomes irrelevant. As the Warriors gear up for what should be a manageable game against the Trailblazers, there's still a very real question hanging over this team. Can they maintain this early momentum, or is this 2-0 start just a temporary high before reality hits? Because the truth is, once you get past Steph's brilliance, the Warriors have yet to fully establish an identity this season. And with a packed schedule that includes a tough matchup against the Grizzlies and more 7-foot giants coming up, there's no time to coast. Let's go back to Quentin Post for a moment. The guy is 7 feet tall, but he only played 4 minutes in that last game. 4. And when you're facing teams with bigs like Nikola Jokic, Aaron Gordon, and next up, Zach Edey, you can't afford to have your only true center sitting on the bench all night. It's baffling. Either post isn't ready for these moments, or the coaching staff just doesn't trust him yet. And if that's the case, then how do you game plan around guys like Edey and Jaren Jackson Jr.? Are you going to throw Al Horford and Draymond Green into the paint for 35 minutes a night and hope they don't wear down? That's not a sustainable formula over 82 games. The physical toll is going to add up quickly, especially for vets like Draymond and Horford. They've been warriors, no pun intended, for years. But at some point, age matters. Fatigue matters. And the more you put them in physically demanding matchups without help, the more you risk breakdowns. This isn't the same team that had Andrew Bogut anchoring the paint or JaVale McGee flying in for blocks. This is a team without true interior dominance, relying heavily on versatility and hustle. And hustle alone doesn't win titles in today's NBA. Then there's the issue of secondary scoring. Sure, Jimmy has had his moments. Kuminga looks ready to take a step forward, but he's still figuring things out. Buddy and Pods can shoot, but they're streaky. The one thing that hasn't changed? This team lives and dies by Steph Curry. And while that's been the Warriors' identity for over a decade, it's also what's made them vulnerable in the playoffs when teams are able to scheme him out of rhythm. We've seen it before. The blitzes, the traps, the constant double teams. Teams know if they can wear Steph down and force others to step up, they've got a shot. That's why Klay Thompson in his prime was so important. That's why Kevin Durant tilted the league when he joined. But now there's no KD. There's no P. Klay. It's Steph and a supporting cast still trying to find its collective voice. And while we're being honest, the Warriors don't just need one guy to step up. They need several. They need Jimmy to consistently be a 20-point-per-night threat. They need Kuminga to not just be aggressive, but efficient. They need Horford to play smart minutes and stay healthy. They need Pods to grow into a reliable shot maker and floor spacer. Because otherwise, every game is going to come down to whether or not Steph goes nuclear. And that's just not a sustainable path to a championship. Now let's talk about the schedule ahead. After Portland, the Grizzlies are going to present an entirely different challenge. You've got Ja Morant, one of the most explosive guards in the league, ready to test Golden State's perimeter defense. And then there's Zach Edey, a massive presence inside. Memphis is going to throw a completely different look at the Warriors, speed on the perimeter and size in the paint. And again, that raises the same old questions. Can the Warriors keep up with the speed? Can they match the size? Can they protect the rim? Before we continue, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Dubs updates. Let's keep going. The NBA world is buzzing with tension after LeBron James didn't hold back in his pre-game comments ahead of the much-anticipated clash against the Golden State Warriors. In an interview that quickly went viral, LeBron reportedly told reporters, "You guys don't stand a chance," a statement that has already set social media and locker rooms alight. While trash talk is nothing new for the NBA, coming from LeBron, a four-time MVP and one of the most decorated players of his generation, it carries a weight that few can ignore. Sources close to the Lakers camp suggest that LeBron's comments weren't just empty bravado. Insiders claim he's been particularly focused during practice, running extra drills and emphasizing defensive schemes specifically designed to counter the Warriors' high-octane offense. Rumors are swirling that some players in Golden State are feeling the pressure, with whispers that even Stephen Curry was caught watching tape late into the night, trying to predict LeBron's next move. Fans are already divided. Lakers supporters are embracing LeBron's boldness as a sign of dominance, flooding social media with memes, videos, and speculation about a potential blowout. Meanwhile, Warriors fans are quick to dismiss the comments, claiming it's all part of the drama that fuels rivalry games. LeBron always talks, but we've seen him get humbled before, one anonymous source from the Warriors locker room reportedly said. Stay updated exclusively with the latest Dub Nation news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep getting daily updates on the Warriors. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. Your input is essential for the Dubs community. Stay tuned for the next video.